A coalition of affirmative action is making the strongest push for the Affirmative Action Bill to be given the needed urgent action. The bill, which seeks to bring gender parity, has been in and out of Parliament and currently awaiting Cabinet approval with what some have described as no sense of urgency. The bill has simply been abandoned, and that according to the convener of the coalition on the Affirmative Action Bill, Sheila Minka Primo, defeats the gender parity goal. Speaking at Women in Media Engagement organized by IDEG, Madam Minka Primo stated the failure to pass this bill will spell doom for the cause to achieve a social and economic balance in society.
There have been a lot of attempts to enact an affirmative action gender equality law in Ghana. You know, that you can see that in the middle we have gender equality, because you can have affirmative action in several areas when it comes to disability, people who are discriminated against. But the bill we've been trying to push deals with gender equality. And it started as far back as Ghana's, when Ghana became a republic in 1960, there was a law called the Representation of the People's Act of 1960, which brought 10 women from different parts of Ghana to parliaments. There have been fluctuations, and the data indicates that in 1965 was about when we had the highest, 18.5%, but that was a very short-lived period because we had a coup shortly after the election. And as was indicated by the one who introduced us to the program, research has shown that there's gender imbalance in Ghana in several spheres, and provision is made for affirmative action to try to right the wrong. There's a group called the Women's Manifesto, which is one of the big women's groups. They've done a lot of research and made a proposal for affirmative action. There are a number of existing policies on affirmative action, but the belief is that they've not had the expected impact, and discrimination against women continues, particularly in public life. There have been lots of research. The next slide, please. So the big question is why the need for the affirmative action bill. The memorandum indicates that it's a bill to redress areas of social, economic, and educational imbalance in Ghana. And it aims at eliminating discrimination and the need for equal opportunity for both men and women. There's a lot of justification for it, and I'll quickly run through, because that's not the main focus of my presentation. Okay? First of all, there's a need to address the marginalization of women in public and economic life in Ghana. You just heard that data in the recent population status, survey that was done. They said women are about 50.5 or 50.7 of the population. But the ratio of women in parliament and in district assemblies is very low, as we've already heard. Currently, out of the 275, we only have 40 women, making 14.45%, which is very, very bad. Then, at the district assembly as well, it's also not very good. There's a policy to have 30% of the government's nominees as women, but this is also not working. When it comes to the actual election, very few women also win, so the numbers there too are not good. And there are several reasons for the marginalization of women in public life. Gender division of labor at the home leaves very little time for most women to actively participate in politics. The patriarchal system that we have, negative socioeconomic, sociocultural beliefs and practices, I understand for most women. Sometimes when they are trying to even campaign and they are on the platforms, they will ask you, hey, why should we fear you? And most people, it's like men are the heads. So there are lots and lots of things. We've already heard from our population census that women outnumber men. And therefore, it's very important that we also have an equal voice at the local level, where, at the decentralized level. Again, various international human rights instruments, as I've already mentioned, including CEDAW, calls for this. Then it will also ensure some kind of de facto equality at that level. Then to ensure that the perspectives of women are reflected in local level policies and bylaws. At that level, they make policies and bylaws. If women's voices are not there, then where are we going?
Citing examples in other African countries like Rwanda, South Africa, Guinea, among others, Mr. Kwesi Jonah described as woefully inadequate women representation and appointment, especially in the recent appointment of 260 MMDCEs by President Akufo-Addo, out of which only 38, representing 4.6%, were women. Mr. Kwesi Jonah, senior research fellow at IDEG, proposed a quota system to give women a head start in elections to give more women the opportunity, especially at the local government level. He explains further.
What we at IDEC are proposing is another system, the mixed member proportional representation, which works even better than the quota system. In fact, if we adopted the mixed member proportional representation, you will not have to wait until 2030 before you reach the 50% target that the Affirmative Action Bill has set for women's representation at all levels of government. And this is the method that I now want to describe, the mixed member proportional representation. The mixed member proportional, the reason why it is called the mixed member is that people are elected into the assembly on the basis of two different electoral systems. The first one is what we are currently doing for Ghana Parliament. Parties present candidates for parliamentary elections, and the candidate who gets a majority of even one gets elected to Parliament. In the mixed member proportional representation, you maintain the system, but you add onto it another system called the proportional representation. What does proportional representation mean? Proportional representation means you get seats in a representative body according to the percentage of the votes you obtained. So if you obtain 40% of the votes, you get 40% of the seats. If you get 50% of the votes, you get 50% of the seats.